The Drakensberg 400 is traditionally one of the most popular events and one of the toughest on the South African Off-Road Championship calendar. This year, the Condotel Drakensberg 400 again took in some superb scenery, with crews also heading into the Transkei along the way. The opening stage of the race, used to determine start positions for the arduous 450-kilometer racing section, consisted of a 25-kilometer special stage in the vicinity of race headquarters at the Drakensberg Gardens Hotel. The opening section is important to the more fancy teams who want to strike an early psychological blow and leads to some spectacular motoring. Vehicles competing in the South African Off-Road Championship are split into 10 categories. The classes take in a wide variety of vehicles. These range from exotic single-seater and two-seater space frame cars through to commercial vehicles, four-wheel drive vehicles, modified saloons and the budget class. In a rugged sport that has shown tremendous growth in South Africa in recent years, it is almost a case of anything goes. Off-road races are a hardy breed, and recently the sport has attracted drivers and navigators who have made their mark in other forms of motorsport. It was inevitable that the opening stage should produce problems for some competitors. Louw Vermeulen and co-driver Cecil MacDonald in a Beetle found this sprite to be a handful. Problems like this, however, are all part and parcel of off-road racing. Try as they might, Vermeulen and MacDonald found it a battle to get the Beetle out of the straight. They eventually made it to the finish, but started the next day's racing section well down the list. But while Vermeulen and MacDonald were having their problems, the Barber Bartholomew Volkswagen found that a slight shortcut always comes in handy. For others, like the Pepe Mate, Kenny Willemse Sandmaster and the Hannes Grobler Piet Swanepoel Nissan Safari, things went a lot more smoothly. And then there are those who had to resort to something a little out of the ordinary to make it to the finish of the first stage, like our friends Vermeulen and MacDonald in their Beetle, much to the delight of the spectators. With the race start order sorted out the previous day, the early morning sees crews running last-minute checks on vehicles and equipment. Ahead of them lie 450 kilometers of tough motoring. The first car away was the Robin Yates Dennis Stokes ATU. They were followed closely by Ray LaRue in the ATV Volkswagen, Bodo Bertholdt and Paul Kutzer, Norrie Watt, and the current championship leaders Hannes Grobler and Piet Swanepoel. As cars and buckies of all shapes and sizes took off on their adventure, snow-capped peaks provided a magnificent backdrop. For the crews, however, there was no time to sit back and admire the scenery. There was a race to be run, with the single and twin-seater specials heavily favored to produce the winners. But rally stars Hannes Grobler and Piet Swanepoel in the Nissan Safari have taken to off-road racing like ducks to water. The pair went into the Drakensberg with a couple of wins under their belts and were poised to take advantage of any slips by the pre-race favorites. An incorrectly placed route arrow resulted in a number of the leading crews getting lost. Confusion reigned, and then order was established, and a sort of charge of the Light Brigade soon developed as teams battled for early superiority. Grobler and Swanepoel were soon into their stride. Don Vale and Gavin Orbell were also running strongly, but the Philip Milan Sarel Erasmus Toyota Hilux was soon to be withdrawn when Milan learned that a family member had been taken ill at home. At the first control points in Riverside in the Transkei, it was Bertolt and Kutzer who were ahead of the Grobler-Swanepoel combination. Vale and Orbell were still running strongly in third place, but there was still a long and tough road ahead. The second stage of the race took crews on a wide loop that was to end back at Riverside. The Brevet-Buerta combination in vehicle 603 was going well, and they eventually finished 11th. Also having a good run were Sarur and Rawlins in Sandmaster number 810 and Jeff Bell and Waddy Sachs in the Mitsubishi Pajero. At the second Riverside control, however, the leader was Ray LaRue. Bertold and Kutzer were second, while Grobler and Swanepoel had dropped back to fourth and Vale and Orbell to fifth. A tremendous late charge saw Grobler and Swanepoel back into a lead they held until the finish, edging out Bertold and Kutzer and Vale and Orbell.
Ek dink dit was 'n baie goeie veldren geweest. Ek glo nie eintlik na regte moes ons gewen het nie. Die paai was baie rof geweest en ek dink die Sandmasters het 'n groot voordeel op die rowwe gedeeltes gehad. Ons het natuurlik onder die eerste 5 ingery in die begin en ons het toe so gehou tot ons toe met die groot gedeeltes kom waar ons kon vinnig ry en die spoed bietjie kon aandraai. En toe het ons daar maar net die dinge 'n bietjie hoog gehou en so aan. Ons het natuurlik probleme gehad. Ons moes 'n hekplat ry wat toe was en wat toe om die agteraas gedraai het en die briekpyp afgebreek het en toe was 150 km sonder brieke ry tot ons amper in 'n sloting gery het. Toe besluit ons nie, ons gaan eers vir die briekpyp en goed regmaak. Maar verder dink ek dit was baie goed georganiseer geweest.